The content of this program is provided for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not to be considered as advice, referral, or recommendations. Any use of the information provided is at the sole discretion of the listener. The presenters and this radio station expressly disclaims liability for errors and omissions in the contents of the presented resources and information already available to the general public. The presenters and this radio station do not have any affiliations to the agencies presented. Détail présenté sous programme ça, c'est pour éducation et information seulement. Moun pas doit considérer comme conseil, référal ou soit recommandation. N'importe utilisation information qui base, c'est sous cette discussion moun kapouté. Présentateur yo ak station radio an pa gen aucune responsabilité pour la commission pour ressources yo présenter ak information qui déjà disponible dans public plan en général. Présentateur yo ak station radio an pa gen aucune affiliation avec agence qui présente.
This is WLGG 88.1 FM, Asbury Park.
We all can agree that raising a family in these times is challenging, with everything being so exposed and accessible through social media and the influence that come along with it. How do we find the balance?
Does your child feel confined and has no outlet?
Sasha, meet me in the bathroom so we can take our Instagram pics, because you know once I get home they won't let me out.
Would your child come to you when they need help?
Mom, I'm in trouble and I don't know what to do.
Do you know the signs when your child is crying out for help?
Mickelson, you don't listen. The school has called me and now I have to attend another school meeting. This time you lose your video games for 2 months.
Do you and your family need access to resources?
I lost my job. How will we get our bills paid?
Does your family have expectations and boundaries for mutual respect and understanding?
I am the man of the house, but my family does not respect me.
Finally, a show where families can feel supported and get resources for guidance during these troubled times. Presented to you by Good News Community Action. Family Matters, a radio show, aired every Saturday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. A new segment discussing all things and situations relating to families. Family Matters Discussions, a radio show for everyone to listen together.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here with you again. Family Matters. Today is October 28th. It's the last Saturday in October. I missed you guys. I don't know if you realize that we weren't on the air for a couple of weeks. So many things going on in our lives, our children's lives, and with the different endeavors that we are actively engaged in. So sometimes we are not able to be present. However, we are always thinking about you. So I'm so happy to be here. My name's Elna. You're listening to Family Matters on Good News Radio, presented to you by Good News Community Action every Saturday from 4 to 5 and repeated again on Sundays from 3 to 4. Today, we are going to discuss financial literacy because that's our Saturday. It's the fourth Saturday in October. Every fourth Saturday, we try to bring you some information relating to financial literacy. So we're going to get started. I just want to greet everyone in Creole, and then we're going to move on with our program. Bonsoir tout le monde, bienvenue dans Affaires Famille. Jeudi, c'est 28 octobre. Je suis content ensemble avec nous. Moi, c'est Elna. J'ai manqué vini nan program nan pour plusieurs samedi parce que nous t'es engagé dans l'autre activité, mais nous t'es songé nous. Moi espérer que tout le monde là à côté et puis nous avons engagé ensemble dans la discussion. On a fait jeudi, c'est quatrième samedi, nous discuter affaires finances pour compréhension famille, pour qu'on ait information que nous portons pour vous de finances, peut-être vous voulez acheter un caille, peut-être vous voulez apprendre qui j'en pour serrer on petit l'argent, mettre sur côté pour les laper tomber, pour qu'on qui ça va faire. So nous avons quelques informations pour nous aujourd'hui, nous allons discuter ça. So we are ending the month of October. But there was so much that took place in the month of October because we were absent. We did not get to cover a lot of things that happened in the month of October. For example, the month of October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It was also Domestic Violence Month, Youth Awareness Month in terms of like youth sports. It was HIV and AIDS Health Literacy Month, and so much more that we didn't get to cover. But you know, we're going to be around, so we're going to bring these topics to you and discuss them at length. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the month that it actually occurs in. So, but I just didn't want to be remiss without mentioning that these events did take place in the month of October. So you're listening to Family Matters on Good News Radio, and I want to tell you the ways that you can continue to listen to us. You can go to goodnewsradiotv.com. You can go to Facebook, WYGG Good News Radio, or if you want to call in, you can dial 518-906-1596. Mais j'en pour nous entendre radio, nous allons dans Good News Radio TV.com, dans Facebook, nous allons dans WYGG Good News Radio, ou bien nous carrelez sur numéro de téléphone 518-906-1596. Moi, j'espère que là, nous soulignons, nous discuter affaire budget nous aujourd'hui, que nous carrelez. Si que nous voulons relais, engager dans la discussion, numéro de téléphone pour nous relais, c'est 732-775-0220 ou bien 732-775-0225. So the ways that you can call in to engage in our discussion, I think I just mentioned the topic. We're going to discuss personal budgeting today because times are hard for a lot of people. There's a lot going on in the world with every aspect of our life. I feel like there's like an invasion happening in everything that you could absolutely think about. It seems like there's like a definite shift in the atmosphere of our lives. So we need to be prepared. We need to be in a state of readiness. And the way that we're going to do that is through laying down the foundation and making sure that we do our homework, we do our due diligence when it comes to ourselves, to our children, to our spouses, and to our communities to make sure that when stuff happens, I want to say a different phrase, but you know, it wouldn't be appropriate. When stuff happens, you know, that you're ready. You have a game plan in place. You don't want to be, you know, caught like not prepared when things happen, because things are going to happen because we're human and we make mistakes. And there's other people that live in this world, in our communities, are also humans, and they also make mistakes. And sometimes their mistakes affect you, you know, and it's not purposely done, but it's just a way of things. Okay. So we want you guys to be ready. So if you want to engage in this conversation, call in to 732-775-0220, 732-775-0225. All right. So the last time I was here, I believe that I started a new segment within the show where we are going to learn vocabulary words together, as well as learn some English Creole phrases. So I do have that for you today. So the word that I have for my students who are listening, the word we're going to learn today is called aide-mémoire. So it's a French word, okay? So it's spelled AIDE hyphen MEMOIRE. Aide memoir. So this word means, it's a noun, by the way. It's like an aid to the memory, especially a book or a document. Or it could be, the second definition is an informal diplomatic message that someone is conveying to the listeners. So that was the word, aid memoir. So it's like a memory aid, if you want to say it that way. So it's an aid to the memory, especially a book or a document or an informal diplomatic message. So that was the word for today. So we're going to move on to the English Creole phrase that we're going to learn today. So our first lesson, we're going to learn how to say, like, greet someone, like, you know, share your name, or when you're saying goodbye, like when you meet someone for the first time, or, you know, whenever you meet someone, you want to say hello. You want to say how you're doing, or what is your name, or see you later. So the first word, we're going to say it in Creole, and then we're going to say it in English, and then we'll move on to the next word. So the first one is, when you want to say hello, you're going to say bonjour. So for my English listeners, if you want to say hello to someone who speaks Creole, you're going to say bonjour. And my Creole listeners, if you want to say, si vous voulez, mon capteur qui parle Creole, si que nous t'avons saluer en mon en anglais, si vous voulez dire bonjour, vous pouvez dire allô ou bien hello. C'est comme ça, vous dites. Et puis, deuxième mot, c'est qui j'en ou relais. In English, en anglais, ça traduit what is your name? Okay. Qui j'en ou relais. What is your name? And vice versa. When you want to ask someone what is your name, you're going to say qui j'en ou relais. Again, what is your name? Qui j'en ou relais. And the third one is my name is, and then you would fill in the blank with what your name is. Okay, my name is Elna. Moi relais Elna. Moi relais Elna. My name is Elna. Okay, and the fourth one is see you later. That means bye. See you later. Si que nous t'a dit see you later. See you later, c'est gens que nous t'a dit na ouais plus tard. Ou bien na ouais, I guess plus tard is later. Na ouais plus tard. Na ouais plus tard. Ou bien na ouais. We will see. See you later, na ouais. So if you're si que vous t'avez dit mon na ouais plus tard, ou dit see you later. Okay, so I think that's enough. We'll pick up lesson 2 next week because we do have to move on with our program. But next week we're gonna ask someone how they're doing. Okay. Semaine prochaine, leçon que n'a fait, n'a pas demander au monde qui gens que yo yé. Si que nous au monde, nous besoin parler ensemble avec yo. Pour nous sauter apprendre, pour nous saluer yo, pour nous demander yo qui gens yo relé, et puis pour nous même tout nous dire non nous. Et puis nous disons au revoir ou bien à plus tard. Semaine prochaine, nous apprendre qui j'en que pour nous demander qui j'en yo même yo yé et puis pour nous entendre des réponses. Okay, so you guys know I always have resources for you. So I want to remind everyone that today, actually, this very day is National Immigration Day. So you guys know I always like to say this because it's the truth, you know. I like facts and I like things that are truthful, and I like for everyone to know truthful things. So today is National Immigration Day, so I want to wish happy National Immigration Day to all of us living in this country. I always say this, every single person. If you're not a Native American, you are an immigrant in this country. And so happy National Immigration Day to you. And so I hope that you guys are actively engaged in activities and getting involved in your communities to help one another out especially when it comes to immigration agendas in this country and in your community, because there's a lot of migrants that are in our community. I'm sure you've seen them on the news. If you haven't seen them in person, you've seen them on the news. They could use your help. So there are plenty of organizations that are out there that will happily accept your application to become a volunteer to help out with the immigrants that are in our immediate neighborhood. Okay, and I also want to let you know that the general election is underway. Today is the first day of early voting. It started this morning at 10 a.m. It's going to go through, it will end tonight at 8 p.m., and that's going to happen starting today all the way through November 5th. Saturdays and Sundays, Sundays, the hours are going to be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but Monday through Saturday, it's 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's at the Neptune Township Senior Center, which is like the fitness center, that open space. That's where they're having the early voting. The general election, November 7th, the voting starts at 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you should have received your notifications of where you should go vote. Okay, so also too, and speaking of helping your community, you can help your community by working the election polls. You can help your community to exercise their right to vote by working the election polls. And if you're interested in doing so, you should call 732-431-7802, extension 7150. 732-431-7802, extension 7150. They will pay you $300 for working the election that day, but you first you have to call. You have to call and express interest, and they're going to train you, and then they're going to assign you to a voting place where you can work that day and get paid $300 for the day. Okay, so there was something else that I wanted to share with you guys. So I always give you resources in terms of like jobs and stuff like that. So there's a natural food store called Greens. They're hiring in Shrewsbury, which is not far from us. The pay is between $15 and $16 an hour. They're hiring full-time clerks, cashiers. In order for you to apply for it, you have to send your resume. You have to email Camden at cyoung@greensnatural.com. Okay, so you can express interest in this job at the grocery store. It's a natural foods grocery store. Direct support professionals are needed. Also, they're hiring. So direct support professionals are people that help, people with disabilities, like DDD patients or clients. So basically, you need to be 18 years or older, have a high school diploma or GED or the equivalent. So if you have something from Haiti that's the equivalent of the high school GED and diploma, they will accept that as well. So in order for you to apply, you need to email recruiting@ccprograms.com if you're interested in that. Middlesex County is having their Middlesex County Job Fair on Thursday, November 16th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be at the Middlesex County College, which is 2600 Woodbridge Avenue in Edison. So if you're interested in going there to meet up with a whole bunch of people who are there, companies who are there to hire folks, you're more than welcome to do that. So Jersey Shore University Medical Center is also having a hiring event where they are hiring for hospitality and valet. Okay, so I can't really read this right here, but if you're interested in knowing how to apply, you could just go to Jersey Shore, actually. They're not far from here. They're hiring. Jersey Shore University Medical Center ap employé moun pour valet ensemble avec hospitalité. Y a bay $200 sign-on bonus, $15 par heure, yo genyen overtime, schedule yo flexible, yo genyen bénéfice, et puis yo ba ou l'heure, y a paye ou pour temps que ou prend, like, sous un jour off, y a paye ou pour ça. So So si ke nou bezwen gen intere nou ka ale nan onsite.healthcare/careers. Or you can go to Jersey Shore and, let them know you're interested in becoming a valet or a hospitality worker. And remember, if you're looking for a job, there's no excuses. If you guys need a job, you can go to the to Department of Labor, which is right here in our town in Neptune, or you can call them 732-683-8850, extension 6011. Okay, so now we're going to talk about budgeting, personal budgeting. So everything we're going to discuss here, I want you guys to know it's not for the purpose of a lecture. It's not to tell you what to do with your finances, it's not to, like, there's no superiority. No one knows everything, and no one has all the right answers. However, some people have gone through things and they may have an idea of how, to do something that could be beneficial to you. And so, which is the reason why, we share this information. So, but if you feel like you have your finances under control, your budgeting under control, you don't need advice, I would say that learning a different way of doing things gives more power to you. So now you not only know how to do it your way, but you know how to do it someone else's way. So now you have double the knowledge. You understand what I'm saying to you? So you should never neglect or, turn away from learning something new. Every day that you're living and breathing, you should be learning for the betterment of your life, okay? So, and also the purpose is to, which is the purpose of this show, is to educate, elevate, and motivate our community through information sharing. So that's what we're doing here. We are information sharing, okay? Because if you buy food for someone who's hungry, you will only feed him for that moment, right? But if you teach that person a skill, you teach them, for example, how to fish, then you have fed that person for life, because you're giving him a skill, you're giving him the ability, you're giving him the knowledge and the know-how to be able to do on his own, to make money, use that skill to make money, right? And they don't have to rely on you. So the next time they don't have to come, with hat in hand asking you, oh, could you feed me? Because you already taught them what to do to be able to feed themselves, okay? So that's our goal. We all want to be independent. I don't know about you, but when I was young, I wanted to be independent. I thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, on your own merit, and be able to thrive and survive, right? So that you could say, not that we want to have self-glorification, because let's be honest, right? Everything that you are capable of doing, it's by God's grace and God's mercy. He has given you the ability to be able to breathe, to be able to use your limbs, and be able to have the knowledge, because you're in your right mind, have understanding to be able to know how to do things. So we don't ever want to take the glory away from God. However, you do get a sense of self-gratification when you are able to independently provide for yourself and for your families, and you don't have to rely on anyone else. So that's the reason why we share information, is to provide you with a little bit of knowledge and understanding, so you too can do for yourself. So budgeting, in my opinion, can be emotional. Yep, it could be very emotional. Especially, it could be emotional, or it can have the effect of being emotional because it's affecting, like, the absence of it, right? Affects your day-to-day life, okay? Like, especially if you don't budget, right? So you're bringing in money, you're working, you go to work, and you earn a paycheck, And before you even get this paycheck, it's gone. Right? That's because there's a problem with your budgeting. It doesn't exist because your bills or your spending outweighs your income, and therefore you're always waiting for the next one, or you can't wait for the next one to come, or you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's the way. That's the way they say the thing. I don't know how would I say that in Creole. Yep, ya volé name Peter. Puyoka by Paul. So, anyways, those are biblical names. So I don't know if anyone can relate to that statement. So because there is an absence or a lack of understanding on how to budget or how to make sure that we are only spending what we can afford to spend, as opposed to, what people are doing nowadays. Some people are very interested in keeping up with the Joneses and doing what everybody else is doing. You don't know like what kind of money they're earning. You don't know, where they're getting their money from or how they're making their money. So you can't see them driving a Lexus and you're like, oh, I need to be driving a Lexus too. And then you're gonna go spend, your paycheck paying $1,000 a month for a Lexus when you're only getting paid $3,000, for the month. Like, the bulk of your money is going towards this car and you haven't even paid for anything else. So we're going to talk about this stuff. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses. The Joneses have their lives to live and we have our lives to live. So we want you guys to be in the mindset of living within your means, making sure that you have documented all of your expenses. This is what I do every month. And I do it at the month prior for the next month. So I already know what my income is. If you have multiple jobs, you have your little side hustles, or you have an endowment, which is like money that you have coming in, like Social Security. Okay, so any type of income that you're getting in, you put it on one side, right? You tally it up, like you list what it is, list the amount, and then you put it on one side, you add it up, right? And then on the other side, you list all of your expenses and write the dates that they're due, because it's very important not to miss a payment, because if you miss one payment, that they're going to report it, especially if it's a thing that's a debt that's being reported to the credit bureau. They're going to report it late to the credit bureau, and that's going to drive down your credit score. Okay, just one late payment could drive down your credit score 100 points. It's a horrible thing to have happen to you, and I hope that you guys are being very diligent. You're being very prudent careful with your finances, where you're writing it down and then you're tallying that up, all of your expenses. And then look at the bottom of it. When you've added all up, does your expenses outweigh, or is it more than the income that you're getting, that you're receiving for the month? Or is it the opposite? Is your income more than the expenses? If it's more, that's a very good thing. Whatever's left behind, you want to put that into a savings account, okay? So that now you're building savings as well. And someone gave me some really good advice a while ago. They say whenever you get a paycheck, some people get multiple paychecks. Whenever you get a paycheck, it doesn't matter, from each job you get a paycheck, pay yourself first. So you think about it. Think about how much you're worth, okay? And take out that amount that you feel like you need to pay yourself, and then you put that into a savings account. You never touch it. That's how you pay yourself first. And then everything else will go towards all the bills. Because if you wait until the end, like, okay, I paid all my bills and I have a little something left over, and then I'm going to put it in a savings. Something's going to come up. Something is going to come up. Somebody's going to come up. I need some money to pay my house because I'm short this month. The landlord is coming after me. They're gonna kick me out, yada yada yada. They always have a story, right? They're coming with their stories. They're playing with your heartstrings, and they're really good at telling the story. And then you feel so badly for them that here you go, taking your hard-earned money and you're giving it to someone, but what did they do with their money? They're driving better cars than you. They have the latest designer bag, designer shoes. Their clothes are up to they're dressed up to the nines. Their hair and their makeup. Their nails are all done and everything, but they spend their money doing those things, but yet the important things they don't do. And then they want to come to you to help them pay the important things. It's not fair. It's not right. And if someone comes to you in that type of situation, tell them no. Just like they have no problem coming to you and asking you in the first place, you should have no problem looking them in the eye and telling them no. Especially if I'm not saying don't help people. That's not what I'm saying at all. There are some people that really does need help. And if you have a little something that you can help someone with, like if that's what you want to do. But you have to look at the whole picture, look at the whole situation before you're handing off your hard-earned money to someone. And then when you need it, they're nowhere to be found. Okay, I'm just saying. So, all right. Have you ever said to yourself, where does all my money go? Did anyone ever think about that? Est-ce que n'a peut-être jodi? Est-ce que nous jamais dit tête non? Qui côté toute l'argent aller? M'pa kon côté kob lan aller. T'allez am toucher là et puis mes kob lan déjà li fini. Est-ce que gen moun ki jam di ça? Qui côté kob ou pour aller chaque mois ou toucher? Gen moun ki touche 2 fois ou bien 3 fois. Gen moun ki touche chaque semaine. Mais chaque fois ou toucher li tan kou genye on tout nan poche ou kob lan ale ou pa kon kote l'ale. Est-ce que jamais dit ça? Ki kote kob mwen pa ale, mba kon kote kob mwen pa ale. So, if you ever ask yourself, where does all my money go? Budgeting. If you budget, it will allow you to know where your hard-earned money goes. Because I don't know about you guys, working is not easy. Getting up in the morning and going to a place where you don't want to go, having to deal with people you may not want to deal with, like doing a hard jobs. And some people's jobs are desk jobs. And I'm not saying it's not hard, because that could be stressful, okay? Sitting there in front of the computer and having to deal with complex issues, especially if you're in finances, you're responsible for like budgets and things like that. Accounts, people's money, like that's very stressful. But there are people who are manual laborers. You're physically using your body to do a task, and you do it 5 days. Some people do it 7 days out of the week for hours at a time. You spend more time on this job than you do at your own house with your family. So it's hard-earned money. Okay, you put your sweat and blood into it just to get a little paycheck, at the end of the week or in 2 weeks. So you have to be a very good steward over that, right? You have to be very vigilant as to what you're doing with it, because it was hard to make it. So it should not be, you should make it just as hard for it to leave your hand. Okay. So have you ever asked, when will I be able to pay off my loans? Does any of you have loans out there that you can't seem to pay? I mean, you probably are paying on it every month. but the balance is not going anywhere. It's like my payment, that I put towards it did nothing for the bottom line of the loan. So budgeting is a first step in making future financial plans. Have you ever asked yourself, how am I going to be able to afford whatever it is? Okay, I want a new car. How can I afford that? I want to buy a house. How can I afford that? I want to take a very nice vacation. How can I afford that? Well, budgeting helps you to limit unnecessary spending so that you can afford the things that you need, and then you can also afford to do the things that you don't necessarily need, but in my opinion, it is kind of neat, because sometimes we do need to reward ourselves, especially being that we work so hard. We do need to like treat ourselves to like some sort of, like some enjoyment, right? So budgeting will help you to be able to cipher through, like the weeds of all the unnecessary things that you purchase that you don't really need, so that you can have money set aside to do the things that you do need to do. Have you ever thought thinking about money makes me nervous? Are any of you guys nervous when you think about money? Est-ce qu'il y a nan nou ki gen inquiétude le nou pense de l'argent? Est-ce que ça ba nou problème? Ça fait tête nou chaud, li ba nou tête fait mal? Parce que le ou pa gen assez kob, on connaît ça, li vraiment difficile pour moun. Ou fin fait kob lan ale, ou gen tête fait mal, ou gen tête chargée, parce que ou still gen bagay pou faire, mais ou pa gen kob pou faire. So budgeting will help limit financial anxiety. Did you guys know that was a thing, financial anxiety? There's all types of anxieties, I feel like. But financial anxiety is a big one. It's a really big one. It can destroy families, okay? It can destroy relationships, all right? Financial anxiety, when the money is not enough and we got to do all this, that, and a third, okay, for our kids, for our spouses, for our home, to be able to keep it, to be able to have a car, it's very stressful. This is not an easy thing, okay? And have you ever said to yourself, oh, I'm not a math person. I can't figure out how to budget. Est-ce que gen moun jam di sa, nou pa kon fè matematik, ki jan pou nou fè kreye un budget? Est-ce que nou kon di sa? Mais de pou kon fè anti addition, anti soustraction, ou bien anti multiplication, ou bien anti division, ki sa nou bezon ankor? Tout moun kon ki jan pou yo kote kob yo. Nou pa bezon matematicien, nou pa bezon al gen degré pou sa. Right? Everyone knows how to add. Well, should know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide. Right? That's all you need to create a budget. You don't have to be like a master mathematician. You don't have to be a, what do they call those people? Josiah, what do you call those people that work in those forensics, financial, NASA, those smart people? What do they call them? You don't have to be an engineer to do a budget, okay? And have you ever said, I'm afraid to know how much I spend on, you're afraid to know how much you spend on, you could fill in the blank. You're afraid to know how much you spend on those subscriptions, those TV subscriptions. Because that's the thing now. Everybody's subscribing to this, to that, and the third. And those things add up. By the time you add up all of your subscriptions, you might as well have stayed with the cable company. Okay? Think about that for a minute. Think about all the things that you subscribe to. Is it necessary? Do you really need those things? I think you guys need to take a look. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look at that stuff and to make sure that, your money is not going down the drain. Okay? Because budgeting gives you permission to only spend up to a certain amount. Budgeting is like a discipline. It's kind of like, you know, a parent disciplining their child, where they tell the child, okay, you can go outside to play, but don't you leave the gate, right? It's kind of like that. The budget says, okay, you have X amount of money to spend, but don't go beyond that. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. That's what it was. Rocket scientist. That's what I was looking for, Josiah. Rocket scientist. It's not rocket science. Okay? Have you ever thought, oh, my spending is out of control? Have you guys ever thought about that? Oh, I'm out of control with my spending. Do you ever notice that when you leave your house, you end up spending at least $100, at least, every time you leave your house? Do you guys ever experience that? I must be the only one that experienced that. Josiah, right? Every time we leave home, we are putting ourselves in a position to spend at least $100 just within an hour, 2 hours. It doesn't even matter what the length of time, because you're gonna go out there and you're gonna see something, and something's gonna happen. And I'm not saying don't leave your house, but we have to have discipline. We have to have self-control, right? We can't be impulsive about our spending, right? When you're impulsive, you have a lack of control. That's what that means, right? You just do something just like that on a whim without thinking about it. Right? Yeah. I can't hear you. But yeah. So budgeting will help you to formulate and to maintain good habits. And that's what we want. We want to have a system. Okay? We want to have a way of doing things and sticking to it. You know, don't leave it behind. Just stay the course. And you will see the end of the finish line. You're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, okay? So budgeting creates habit formation. Habit that takes the guesswork out of the financial decisions in each stage of your life, okay? Budgeting can help a student meet their expenses and avoid them having student debt, right? Because that's what the big problem was. You know, all of us who took out student loans, you know, and they're giving the schools, man, oh my goodness. And then those things are complex. Those contracts, they're complex, and they expect us to just, you know, to just agree to signing, and they make it so easy for you to just sign, but nobody's reading all that fine line, you know, and all the interest and everything. Now it was out of control, so that's why they had to forgive some of them. Some of the student loans had to be forgiven because it's out of control. Because what happened was, us student loan borrowers, we were making our payments, but it wasn't going anywhere. The amount wasn't going anywhere because the interest rate kept going up and up and up. And it's like as if it was like you weren't even making a payment at all, you know. So the government had to step in to help out. Some people got relief behind it, and some people it's still being worked on. So thank God for that, right? Budgeting can help one prepare for marriage, prepare for children, and prepare for home ownership. Budgeting can help you save for retirement, and having generosity in your older adulthood. Like when you're older, like you know, when especially a grandmother or grandfather, don't you want to be in a position to be able to do for your grandchildren what their parents can't do? Or you want to be able to do for your grandchildren because you can, right? Because that's your place to spoil them, you know, as a grandparent. But if you're not in a position where you're also working because you didn't save up for your retirement, or you don't have enough money, you won't be able to do for your grandkids, you know? Budgeting will help you live as a retiree without being a financial burden on your family or the government. Okay? So you want to be able, like we talked about in the beginning, to stand on your own 2 feet, to be independent. So you don't have to rely on, your children or the government to, send you money so you can live. You don't want that. I mean, Social Security is something different. You worked and you put into the Social Security system. So yeah, they should definitely give you back what you put into it. But we're talking about other types of help that the government gives. Okay. So setting up systems and using tools to help you meet both short-term and long-term goals is what budgeting allows for. It can help you to set a monthly and annual goal, okay? It can help you track your expenses throughout the month using a spreadsheet or an app, or you could just use your notebook. Just use a notebook and write it down like I do. Nobody have time for spreadsheets. No, just get a notebook and write it down and do your additions and your subtractions, okay? And make it very easy and simple on yourself. Okay, review your monthly and annual goals to see at the end of the year if you met your goal. Okay, try paying for things in cash. I know a lot of people are saying, and it's true, that they're trying to do away with cash. They don't want you using cash. But you know what? If you don't want to spend a lot of money, don't take your credit cards with you when you go out of your house. Have like a little bit of money, because you're gonna need to spend some money when you're out of your house, when you go out, right? So if it's going to be $50 or $100 is your limit for when you go out, just have that with you. Don't take your credit card, because if you have your credit card plus your 100, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna spend your $100 cash, and then you're gonna reach into your credit card and charge everything else. So because we haven't developed discipline and self-control, right? So we're gonna do it. And especially if you have kids and they want everything, that is something that we can talk about another time, because that's, oh my goodness, it's a problem with these kids. They want everything, and some parents who feel like they need to give in to their kids what their kids want. I know Haitian parents are not like that. Haitian parents are like, they have this look. They have this look, you better not even look at me to think you're gonna come and ask me for something, right, Josiah? Pareil, c'est yon range figyo an jan pou ti moun yo pa vi dmande yo pou achete bagay pou yo. Konen bagay sa se bagay lot kalite pareil pa paran haisyen yo. So pay with cash to avoid unnecessary debt. And being prepared for the unexpected, because, the unexpected will happen, is what budgeting allows you for. And also learn to be content with your life. We talked about this whole idea of, keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, my neighbors, they got this nice awning. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Like their backyard, like the way they did it was so nice. Like, I want to do that too. No. If your backyard, there's nothing wrong with it, it works for you. I mean, you can do things that makes you happy. If you liked it and you want to do it, budget for it. Don't just go spending money just because they did it, I have to do it too. That's what we're talking about here. Okay? So we're gonna move on. I have so much more to cover and the time is running out. So the way we talked about it is, you're gonna look at the money you have coming in and the money you have going out. You're gonna ask yourself this question: does your income stay the same, or does it vary from paycheck to paycheck? Est-ce que l'argent qui est rentré en dans Kailan, il était même gens ou bien il y a une variation là-dedans? Est-ce qu'elle changeait de temps en temps? Okay. Um, Focus on your take-home pay. What is it that you get to keep after taxes? Some people they when they talk about how much money they earn, they're looking at the big amount, the total, you know, before taxes. You should never look at that because that's not what you're taking home. That is not what you are taking home. So what good is it to say I make $100,000 a year when really what you're bringing home is $85,000? That doesn't help you out. So when you're budgeting, you're not going to budget using the 100,000. You're going to budget using the 85,000 because that's what you're actually bringing home after they take all their taxes and FICA. I don't know who this FICA person is, but they take the most out of everybody's check. And you know all the other stuff, like your health and everything that they have going out. Once they're done, like you get a smaller amount. So that's what you have to use to budget with. So you can't plan on purchasing your car based on your $100,000 salary when your actual income is $85,000. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. Si ke ou son moun ki fe $100,000 nan ane, ou bien salary ou se $100,000, ou pa ka di kon sa se kop sa ou utilize pou fe bijè ou, paske se pa kop sa ou entre an dan, le IRS tan fin retire tax yo, tout bagay yo, ou ka rentre yon $85,000 nan ane, so se avek sa pou fe bijè ou. So chaque mois wap utilize kop ke ou recevoir ou entre ou toucher après yo fin retire tax yo, c'est comme ça ou utiliser pour calculer budget. Okay? So I said to make a list of everything that you spend your money on and break it into categories. Oh yeah, that's really good. If you have like credit cards too, there are some credit card companies that are really good with that. Like if you have one credit card that you use, that's what I do. I have one credit card that I use for everything. And they have spreadsheets where they create, you know, they tell you what you're spending your money on. They categorize it. It's very helpful. So then I'll look, I'm like, oh my God, I spent all this money on gas at Costco. Or they have like a miscellaneous line. I guess you can go down and like really like, look deeper to see what the miscellaneous is about. But it's really good if you do have a type of credit card that you use to make your purchases. It's going to help you to categorize what you're spending your money on. Okay, so it's good to do and analyze each category, and based on these questions, is it something that I need or something that I want, or is the amount I spent on this category the same every month? Or is it changing every month? Like ou categorize kop ke ou dépenser, ou pose tête ou deux questions ça. Est-ce que ça me dépenser, est-ce que son bagay de besoin ou bien son bagay qui nécessaire? Et puis poser tête ou l'autre question ça. Est-ce que kop ça me dépenser pour m'acheter bagay ça? Est-ce que chaque mois, est-ce que les mêmes chaque mois ou bien les différents? Ou besoin poser tête aux questions ça yo. Et puis si que vous regardez pour variation, si bagay yo changer ou bien si bagay que vous acheter c'est pas un bagay que ou si ou besoin acheter ou pas nécessaire pour acheter li, nécessité pour acheter li, pas acheter encore. Ou pas esclave pour acheter bagay. Puis on acheter parce que faut que nous penser des budgets nous. Budget est vraiment important pour nos disciplines nous pour nous acheter simplement ça nous besoin. Ça au besoin pour vivre de jour en jour et pas ça bagay qui pas nécessaire pour acheter. So, bagay qui nécessaire c'est en priorité. Bagay ki pa nécessaire, c'est pas en priorité. OK? Les ti moun yo vini, oh, nous besoin bagay. Yo toujours besoin bagay. De pou fin ba yo manger, pour yo manger, mon côté pour yo dormir, yo gen rad pour yo mette sou yo, ou fini. Yo pas besoin rien encore. Ou ka prendre un petit temps pour faire un petit bagay réjouir ensemble avec yo, mais ça n'est pas tout le temps. Ou vous dépenser au paquet de l'argent acheter bagay qui pas nécessaire pour ti moun yo. Yeah, so you don't have to spend a lot of money buying things that are unnecessary. You have to categorize based on need or want, and then the needs are a priority. The things that are not necessary are not a priority. You could just not purchase them. You have the power, you're in control. You can do this, okay? So you want to examine to see if you actually need that thing and practice postponing buying wants, okay? Like leave it in like Amazon. Oh my God, they make things so easy for you to just buy and you get it the next day or sometimes the same day. You know, just leave it in the cart. Leave it in the cart. Leave it in the cart, and if time went on, you're still living your life, you're still happy, you're still okay, and you didn't get this thing, then you don't need it. Just go back to the cart and delete it. Okay? You gotta exercise some discipline, some self-control. Okay, think about other costs and purchases, priced, you know, that are associated with the wants, you know, the upkeep costs too, because there are some things that we buy. We bought this thing. We think we're done. We're done. We spent the money. We bought it, but now you have to spend more money to maintain it, like a house. A house, right? Because when you buy a house, you think that's it. You're done. You bought a house. Nope. There's a whole lot more to come, a whole lot more expenses that's going to come with keeping up the house. Same thing with the car. There's more expenses that's going to come with keeping up that car. And you have to budget for all these things. That's what we were talking about in the beginning, like the emergencies that might come up, you know, and that you're going to need to account for. So if you're already spending more money than what you're earning, and then you have an emergency, you're really going to be in a situation, right? So you guys have to like go through a fine line, you know, like itemize each thing that you're spending your money on and eliminate them if they're not a necessity. Eliminate them, take them out of the equation, and then increase the amount of the amount that you have left over after you paid your necessities. Okay, so they're telling me that I have to go. Okay, so I think this is important to continue to talk about, because I have so much more to say on this topic. So next month, if we are here, we are going to talk, we're going to finish up this information on budgeting, because it's important, especially for those of you who have those big goals in life. Like you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, because a car is important here. You need a car to get back and forth, you know, so you got to have one. So those things. And then we can talk about how to purchase a car. You don't necessarily have to purchase a car by financing it. There's other ways to purchase a nice car without having to finance it. Okay, so we'll talk about stuff like that. And remember, a car depreciates in value once you drive it off the lot. So it's not like a house that can appreciate in value and you can build equity. So when you're thinking about big purchases, what's more important? I would say buying a house is more important. And if you're interested in buying a house, feel free to call me. I can help you do that. Okay, me and my partner, we can help you do that. All right, guys. Well, I think they're kicking me out of here, so I'm gonna go. So I want to thank all of you for listening to Family Matters on Good News Radio. If you missed us today, you can hear us again tomorrow. They're gonna play it again from 3 to 4. Okay, again, this is WYGG Good News Radio. For those of you who are listening on Facebook, thank you so much. Don't forget to leave a comment. You were listening to Good News Radio. This program is designed to help elevate, motivate, educate the community, to improve, our communication, our education, to provide empowerment, encouragement for all children and families of Good News Radio. Thank you so much. This was Elna. It was good being here today, and I hope to see you again or speak to you again next week. Be well.
We all can agree that raising a family in these times is challenging, with everything being so exposed and accessible through social media and the influence that come along with it. How do we find the balance?
Does your child feel confined and has no outlet?
Sasha, meet me in the bathroom so we can take our Instagram pics, because once I get home, they won't let me out.
Would your child come to you when they need help?
Mom, I'm in trouble and I don't know what to do.
Do you know the signs when your child is crying out for help?
Mickelson, you don't listen. The school has called me and now I have to attend another school meeting. This time you lose your video games for 2 months.
Do you and your family need access to resources?
I lost my job. How will we get our bills paid?
Does your family have expectations and boundaries for mutual respect and understanding?
I am the man of the house, but my family does not respect me.
Finally, a show where families can feel supported and get resources for guidance during these troubled times. Presented to you by Good News Community Action. Family Matters, a radio show, aired every Saturday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. A new segment discussing all things and situations relating to families. Family Matters Discussions, a radio show for everyone to listen together.
This is WLGG 88.1 FM, Asbury Park.